My name is Shane Gibble, and I'm doing my project over residential construction safety. First, I'm going to read a case study I have about a 16-year-old Hispanic boy who fell off a makeshift scaffold in South Carolina. On March 9, 2004, a 16-year-old Hispanic construction laborer on a framing crew was injured when he fell from the job-made elevated work platform and struck his head on a concrete slab 10 feet 3 inches below at approximately 3 p.m. The victim complained of a severe headache to his crew leader and to his father and uncles, who also worked on the framing crew. The construction project coordinator employed by the general contractor reportedly told the crew leader to take the youth to the hospital emergency room. Less than a mile from the site, according to the victim's father, the framing subcontractor's crew leader drove him and his son to a drugstore where they purchased aspirin, and after giving aspirin to the victim, the crew leader drove them home. The crew leader returned to the work, and the victim's father remained at home with the victim. When the victim's uncle returned home from work at approximately 7:30 p.m., the victim was vomiting and unable to walk. The victim's father and uncles drove the victim to the crew leader's home shortly after 7:30 p.m. The crew leader drove the victim and family members to a hospital, stopping along the way at a medical clinic to seek care, but the clinic had already been closed. The victim arrived at the hospital emergency room at approximately 8:30 p.m. and was pronounced dead at 9:28 by the emergency room physician. I have 8 recommendations from NIOSH. I'm only going to read 3 of the most important ones to you. First recommendation is employers should ensure that elevated work platforms meet safety requirements and that all employees are provided with fall protection when the potential for falls exists. Recommendation number 2, employers should ensure that injured workers are provided with appropriate emergency medical services. Recommendation number 3 is employers should develop, implement, and enforce a comprehensive written safety program for all workers, which includes training in hazard recognition and the avoidance of unsafe conditions. A written training plan should also require training in fall protection for all employees potentially exposed to fall hazards. Now we'll move over to my project. The first standard I will cover is 1926.100, head protection, and the employees working in the areas where there is a possible danger of head injury from impact from flying objects or from electrical shock and burns shall be protected by protective helmets. The violation: not all workers on site are wearing hard hats. Second standard is 1926-600 and is equipment. The standard is bulldozers and scraper blades, end loader buckets, dump bodies, and similar equipment shall be either fully lowered or blocked when they're being repaired or when not in use. The violation here is the backhoe is stored with the front bucket raised in the air when not in use. Third standard is 1926.451 and scaffolds. Standard reads: unstable objects shall not be in use as working platforms. Violation number 3 here is scaffolding is not secure. It is wood placed between bracing through the window frames. Standard number 4 is 1926.1053, ladders. The standard is ladders shall be used only on stable and level surfaces unless secured to prevent accidental displacement. The violation here is the ladder is placed on top of the porch roof supports to provide access to the chimney. And the last standard I have is 1926.502, fall protection. The standard is employees shall provide and install all fall protection systems required by this subpart for an employee and shall comply with all other pertinent requirements of this subpart before the employee begins the work that necessitates the fall protection. Violation number 5 is the worker on the roof does not have any type of fall protection whatsoever. And this concludes my project over residential construction safety.